guys, it's Sophie. So today I'm going to be doing the New York Times by the book tag. I was kindly tagged by Brittany at Under the Radar Books. Thank you so much for that. I'm really excited to do this tag, but I hadn't been tagged yet and I didn't want to jump in without being tagged. So thank you, I have an excuse. Yeah, so we'll get started. So the first question is, what book is on your nightstand now? So the first one is Murder in the Dark by Margaret Atwood. Most of the way through this one now and probably going to finish it with a cup of tea in a bit, but enjoying it. It's good to have some short stories in my life. And then the next one is The Girls by Emma Cline. I'm very nearly done with this one as well. I think I have about 30 pages left, but was really tired last night and didn't want to lose the whole ending to sleep, so I'm going to finish this one off today as well. And the next question is, what was the last truly great book that you read? So for me, I think it has to be Walden by Henry David Thoreau. I've spoken about this one a little bit already, so not going to go too much into it, but it is a story about a man who decides to detach himself from society and establish himself next to this lake and just live without connection to other things, essentially, and to see how it feels, to see what his experience is like. It's really philosophical, it's beautifully written, and it definitely made me think when I was reading it, and it is one I want to pick up again, but yeah, great in the sense that it is a truly important book, I think. And the next question is, if you could meet any author, alive or dead, who would you meet and what would you want to ask them? This is hard. I would like to meet loads of people. Two who are on my shortlist but didn't make it in would be Stephen King and Mark Z. Danielowski. I would love to sit down with both of those, but the person I think of all people that I'd like to sit down and chat about books with would be Douglas Hofstadter. I love Hofstadter. I think his mind is an enigma, and he's the kind of person that I think if I would be able to sit down and chat with him for even 10 minutes, my life would be entirely different. So I have to say him. When I was reading his books for the first time through, it was a very strong desire to be writing fan mail, so I think he has to be the one that I would choose. And the next question is, what books would you be surprised to see on your shelves? So I think probably it's going to be this one, or this one. Both are very clinical texts on mental illness, and they aren't really designed for patients, they're more designed for clinicians. But I find this kind of thing quite useful. I have a few of these and I have a whole box full of them in the loft that I used to refer to back and forth. As you guys probably know, if I'm interested in something, I want to know about it to a deep level, and so it seemed a bit silly to me just to choose ones that would go towards patients. I'm sure that with a little bit of background reading I could understand stuff like this, so I used to pick up a lot of these. This one's very good, by the way. Not a lot of literature on this topic, so if it's something that you struggle with, then I would recommend it. Out of print, but grab it if you can. And the next one is, how do you organise your personal library? So I've recently done a full bookshelf tour of everything I have, so if you've seen those, this will be a bit superfluous. But essentially what I do is I split my adult fiction, my YA, my non-fiction, my poetry in place. I would love to be able to have my YA in one place, but currently it's spread between upstairs and downstairs, just because the way my shelves are organised means that I can't quite fit everything in. But as I grow my adult fiction, I will probably hide my YA behind my other YA. And I do it by author's surname across the board. There are a few non-fiction books that I keep with my fiction just because they either fit with the author better, or that they sort of remind me of the other books that are in the adult fiction section. I'm more likely to choose them because of that. There's a little bit of randomness, but for the most part it's by type and then by author surname. The next question is, what book are you embarrassed to have not got around to yet? There are loads. There are so many books I haven't read that I need to read. I haven't read Frankenstein, I haven't read Dracula. Probably the biggest one is the fact I haven't read Jane Eyre. Yeah, so I know I should read those at some stage. I will read those at some stage. I read a fair amount of sort of Victorian classics when I was very young, and not a lot of them sunk in, so I would like to reread Emma and Pride and Prejudice would be another two I'd like to reread. But yeah, so a lot of the classics I think are things I need to get around to. There's not too much in terms of modern fiction that I'm embarrassed I haven't read, although I'd quite like to read On the Road, I suppose that's one that I'd like to get to. But yeah, I never think it's negative if I haven't read a book, but there are some things that I haven't got to yet that I really do need to. I may well be picking up either Dracula or Frankenstein this next time round, probably another Rhodes one because they're gorgeous, and I've only heard good things. But over time you accumulate book knowledge and I can't read everything all at once, so judge as you will. And the next one is disappointing, overrated, or just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to enjoy but didn't? It's a little bit controversial because I know everyone here loves this book. It's The Grace Keepers by Kirsty Logan. I quite enjoyed it, but I just thought the writing was kind of immature. Yeah, I don't want to be too mean because I know how much everyone loves this book. I think maybe I went into it with a little bit too much hype and it just didn't really live up to it. I thought it sort of dragged in the middle. It just wasn't all the things that everyone seemed to think it is to me, so that's a bit of a shame. The question then follows on to say what was the last book you DNF'd, and that was Orlando by Virginia Woolf for me. I got most of the way through it. I think I said this last time, I got at least 2/3 of the way through, but just hadn't enjoyed it so far and couldn't be bothered with it anymore. So this is the last one I DNF'd. I don't very often DNF books, and this is the only book on my shelves that I have DNF'd, and I'm just keeping it because it's pretty and lovely, but I don't really hold on to books that I don't finish. I probably will finish it at some stage just so it doesn't sit there as an outlier because that will annoy me in time. The next one is what kind of stories are you drawn to? So I'm really drawn to darker topics in fiction. I think it is a particular skill when you can describe something that is dark or nasty or sort of secret, and set it in a sense that makes it relatable and doesn't just play for sort of popularity factor or shock value. That's always really impressive to me. I really enjoy stories that are set in the woods. If there's an element of a lovely dark pine forest, then I just want to go there and disappear and I'll live there forever. And then the question goes on to ask, are there any things that you avoid in choosing books? So for me, sort of space opera isn't something that I normally go for. I've had a few bad experiences with space opera, and it just has meant it's not my usual pick. I don't do romance novels. It drives me mad. I just can't be doing with the sort of simpering, really insta-lovey stuff, which is a shame because it's a whole massive genre of books that I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy. I can do romance if it's realistic, if it's funny, if it's more like a real relationship is. I've yet to see anyone in my entire life who has sort of acted in the way that someone has acted in a romance novel, so yeah, it just doesn't, those things don't go with me. The next one is if you could require the president, or in my case Prime Minister, to read one book, what would it be? So for me, I chose Islam and the Future of Tolerance. Islamophobia is a really big thing in the UK at the moment. It's something that is on a lot of people's mind, it's very topical. And I think this book's a really nice way of discussing that issue. It explores the differences between sort of fundamentalism, moderate Islam, and the kind of factors that play into people being extremists. There's a lot of defining of terms, there's a lot of really sensible questions asked, and I just think it's a really straightforward book that gives you a really good background on that, without being prejudicial towards sort of the people who are following that religion. And it was just a very impressive book, I thought, and it's very little, so I'm sure he has time. But yeah, so probably this one, I think, though there are a lot that I could choose from. And then the last question is, what do you plan to read next? So I think probably I'm going to read Sex Criminals this afternoon after I finish the other two I'm reading, and then I'll probably start on the Dave Eggers later on. Probably going on a bit of a train trip today, so hopefully be at the stage where I have a new book to take with me there, because I don't like taking lots with me on the train. I always worry I'm going to lose them. So I hope that you have enjoyed that video. I hope it's given you a little bit of an insight into my reading. I am going to just tag all of you who are watching. I know that a lot of people who do subscribe to me have channels of their own, and I know that especially when you're a little bit smaller, and I'm still pretty small, then it can be quite hard to get tagged in stuff. So I just really want to invite all of you to do this video, and please talk to me about it. I love chatting with you guys about stuff, and would be really interested to know what your answers are. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.